Be ready, 5 seconds. Let us please be in this house looking at India today compared to what is happening in the rest of the world. Just 2 or 3 highlights will tell you where India is compared to the rest of the world. Why should we have to compare with the rest of the world? It is because whether it was in 2008 or before that, we have never seen a calamity of this kind, a pandemic of this kind. Coming out of the pandemic, all of us, each at his own level, were trying to make sure that people in our constituencies, people in our states, people in our areas are given that extra help. I recognize that everybody, members of Parliament and also state governments, has played his role. Otherwise, India today will not be where it is compared to the rest of the world. So I fully credit the people of India for, even against this kind of an adversity, being able to stand up and be recognized as the fastest growing economy. This is not my assessment. Repeatedly, in the last 2 years, the World Bank, the IMF, and many other agencies are periodically giving an estimate of what the global trade is going to be like, what the growth of global GDP is going to be like, and also recasting their assessments about what the world's growth is going to be, and by country what the assessment is going to be. Each time when they have reviewed, when they have downgraded the global growth, when they have reassessed, saying that no, it is not as we thought 6 months ago, it is getting worse. In each of these times, India also has been reduced in terms of growth it is expected to achieve. But even after that, we remain as the fastest growing economy. If it was 8.2%, now it may be 7.4%. But even as the entire globe's growth is being reviewed, reassessed, and re-estimated, each time we remain at the highest. So, first of all, it is important for us as Indians to appreciate that our people have gone through this pandemic, Delta wave, Omicron wave, and after that, the way in which the global value chains have hit us. But in spite of that, because of the various steps taken by the government and also by the Reserve Bank of India, we are still at a much better position than most countries. Globally, when the situation is really like this, and every agency after agency is assessing the situation country-wise, and repeatedly in their assessment, India has remained at the highest. I think this House, irrespective of the party differences, will have to feel proud for this country and its people. They have struggled. State governments have helped. It is not that the country does not have problems. We have to work together to do it, and we are trying to do it. But even as we are trying to do it, and even as the global agencies are saying, this country is suffering like that, that country is suffering with these problems, a third country is suffering with something else, and India is like this. It is a moment that all of us will have to be true to ourselves. Sir, the GDP of the US fell 0.9% in the second quarter following a 1.6% decline in the first quarter, marking a start of what they call an unofficial recession. There were some members who were saying, are we going into a stagflation? And will the finance minister reply, there is no question of India getting into recession or stagflation like the US. They may call it technical recession or whatever. Sir, it is not just me. A Bloomberg survey, which was done by an economist, has said that there is zero probability of India slipping into a recession, even though there are several major economies which are at substantially risky position of getting into recession. Again, as we are comparing, I start with comparing things which are happening globally and also position myself in telling about India. Banks and banks' health are equally important for looking at the economy and its situation at any point in time. Compare globally, 4,000 banks in China are reportedly on the verge of going bankrupt. I want that to be taken cognizance of by the honorable members. In India, the gross non-performing assets, the NPAs of scheduled commercial banks has hit a 6-year low of 5.9% in financial year 2022. So in China, 4,000 odd banks are on the verge of going bankrupt and our NPAs are improving. Sir, on government debt is one of the important criteria with which you measure the economy. The debt to GDP ratio of many countries are in triple digits, and that includes Japan, Greece, Italy, Bhutan, Singapore, US, Portugal, Spain, France, Sri Lanka and Canada, whereas the central government very consciously has controlled its debt. It is at 56.29% of the GDP at the end of 2021-22, compared to 59.9% pegged in the revised estimates for that year. So even from the revised estimates, we have brought it further down. Even when comparing the general government debt, which means the center and the states, India is in a far better position than its peers, according to the IMF data. It is not me saying it. With a general debt to GDP ratio of 86.9, which includes both center and states. I just want to draw the attention of members. So, globally, if in each country the situation is pandemic, waves, second wave, third wave, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and the disruption in the supply chain, then I have just given you some few comparisons of India's position. This morning, we have announced the GST collection for the entire month of July 2022. In July 2022, we have garnered the second highest level ever since the introduction of GST, which is rupees 1.49 lakh crore.